Jason Buttrill, head of research, is in here. Stu Bergier, our executive producer for the radio program. And I talked till I was blue in the face today, outlining treason, because I think if what is being told is happening in the Southern District of New York with the FBI, that is treason, and it should be treated as that. Constitutionally, listen to that case. You can hear it. If you missed it, just grab the podcast wherever you get your podcast today. So we're talking about the options, the different options.
What could explain this?
That could explain what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start. The first one was
the first three were Trump is just protecting friends on his list or someone in the Trump administration.
Zero on that one.
Then you've got the FBI is withholding documents. Essentially, the Pam Bondi story here is true. Okay, like that they're withholding documents. There is really crazy stuff out there, but the FBI is withholding it. That's why you don't have it. Okay. 3 would be this is maybe the most, you're speculative on this one, but that this is sort of a plan.
A useful, what was it? Never let a tragedy or a crisis go to
waste. Right.
This is a crisis that is useful.
Yeah, and they're saying what we're going to do with that information is use this as a way to clean out that office in a way we couldn't necessarily get away with if they weren't hiding Epstein documents.
And just a blanket, the FBI is withholding documents doesn't make sense with Kash Patel as the director, because he's already seen, if we're going off of his statements, he's already seen it, he knows it, and he has vowed to release it. So that's got to be knocked off.
But if they hold it, they may have moved his access to the information. They may have quartered it in New York.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes towards point 3, right? Because if they know how New York's going to respond on this, that field office,
correct,
they're just pushing them into the corner to react how they know they're going to react.
Correct.
All right, let me give you a couple others, and these might be a little uncomfortable for our side. Okay, I'm putting that out there, but I think they should be considered here.
All right.
Okay. A combination, possibility number 4, a combination of incompetence and a bunch of people in really high-profile roles who say a lot of things on podcasts and Fox News that sound good on podcasts and Fox News, but don't necessarily have the actual backing of the facts.
Okay, so first of all, incompetence. I have not seen this administration act incompetently, so it would be the first act of incompetence that I have seen, I think, of any note in the first, what are we in, 40 days?
There's bits and pieces, but I see what you're saying. Generally speaking,
this is a major problem if that was true. However,
go ahead.
On that, I don't know anybody in this administration that is part of this. That would be Kash Patel, J.D. Vance,
Pam Bondi,
president, and Pam Bondi. The only one I can't vouch for that would write checks with their mouth.
Well,
you know what I mean? That it can't be cashed is Pam Bondi, because I don't know her. But doesn't mean she's like that. I just don't know her.
Again, I'm not saying I necessarily think this is the actual end of the story, but let me just push back on that gently. Mm-hmm. Kash Patel also said on day one he was going to close the FBI office and turn it into a museum for the deep state. As far as I know, it has not occurred. Right?
That's a Donald Trump thing.
And because you're saying it's a Donald Trump thing, I must also bring up that Donald Trump also says a lot of things.
Yeah.
And he says things that sound great on podcasts, and sometimes they're negotiation tactics or whatever, but he often does that. There's a lot of over-promising from some of the people he's put in these positions. That is, I think, inarguable.
That would lead me to believe it's option 3.
That there is
a method behind the madness. When Donald Trump says those crazy things, usually because it's negotiating or positioning something that we don't understand. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what number 3 is. This is a well-executed op that is made for people to think one thing, but it's actually setting up. It's like his negotiation for trade barriers.
Yeah, that's possible, right? Yeah. What's interesting, I think, and you pointed out the incompetence, just to pause on that for a second. With the exception of number 3, which to remind people is this sort of idea using this as a precursor to go into the deep state in this particular area.
A useful crisis.
Yes. Every other option has to have incompetence included in it because of the way they sold it. She was on TV the night before saying it was going to be this dramatic thing. And then the next day she said, they didn't send me the documents. That's a terrible way to talk about that publicly.
Correct.
At the very least, it's bad messaging and bad press.
That is why I hesitate on any of this because, and I specifically say, I would think the weak link here would be Pam. A, because I don't know her, but B, I saw that live. I saw her say that live, and it felt weird. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
She didn't seem all that comfortable saying it. She felt, to me, just looking at her, she didn't feel like, I know exactly what's coming here. It just felt like it was a big promise. It was the opposite of what you've told me 7 million times. Never overpromise and underdeliver.
Yes.
You always underpromise and overdeliver.
You never do what she just did.
Right. It's because it gets people pissed off.
Yep.
So that, again, I don't know that that's true, but I think that needs to be at least in the discussion here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, but she immediately deflected because they knew there was going to be outrage on this because this is one of our main issues on the base is the Epstein Files.
Yes.
She immediately directed all that rage towards one specific point, New York. So there's only two reasons to do that. One, to deflect.
Which would work with the one I just described.
Incompetence.
But two, to set off point 3.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think
true.
I'm hoping, because I don't know Pam, but I'm giving her the benefit. I mean, she was the Attorney General for Florida with
for a while.
with Ron DeSantis. I mean, he's not an idiot when it comes to law. He's not going to have an idiot Attorney General. But I tend to think it's number 3. Anyway,
can I give you one more? I have one more here. Okay. What if? Just throwing this out here.
All right.
What if the truth is that not every famous person we know has sex with children? I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. What if the Jeffrey Epstein story is a wide-ranging conspiracy of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince Andrew, several others, doing all sorts of terrible things, but maybe we kind of know all of it already. Maybe there isn't that much left for us to uncover, and we're not going to find...
Not with 250 victims.
Not with the CIA director going to meet him twice. I think that's kind of a big thing as well.
It's possible, but you don't think there's any, because we knew about 70 victims or so just in the initial 2018 reporting. So 250 is a high number, but it's not.
But we
absolutely absurd that's the
all
number.
We've heard is what he did. We have not necessarily heard what others have done. But
we have heard a lot of that. I mean,
why
we've heard a lot
haven't they been prosecuted then?
Well, for example, some people have been accused and they've withdrawn their accusations.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
That.
Like, think about how central, again, to bring up a friend of the program who's on here often, Alan Dershowitz was to this case. He was one of the guys who did all these things according to the accusations. And then the woman now, who came out and said, who accused him all this time, said, maybe it wasn't him. Like, maybe a lot of these people that were tied into this had connections with him, but we don't have videos of them having sex with 14-year-olds. Maybe that's not the reality.
I don't. You know what? I find that more implausible, and this is saying something because this is one that really just bothers me like crazy. I find that more implausible than. We just didn't go to the moon. Wow. I mean, I think we just didn't go to the moon is more likely than that one.
Well, wait a minute. Come on. We have a ton of people are known. We know with incredible line-by-line detail of what this man did in multiple different areas, right? Like, we know a lot about this case. And the fact that we have not uncovered that Bill Gates did it,
where is anyone that went to jail other than those two?
I mean, I'd have to go back and look. I don't think there's been many. There's been not a lot of high-profile people, but that's what I'm saying. Like, just maybe, Jason. I know this is tough.
We staged the moon landing.
I know. Maybe, And this is, by the way, the best option for all of us. I will point out.
It is.
The best option for all of us is.
I did when you said it. I thought immediately moon landing, and then I thought to myself, "Wow, am I that jaded that I dismiss the happy option as no way?"
Okay, well, hold on. Let me finish my point real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible that, wanting the desire to have sex with underage children is a little bit more rare than we believed. And that would be great information. Maybe not every rich and powerful person is doing this. And I know there's a lot invested in that theory. But to just go off on this for just a second, we have had multiple
Stu's
politicians.
Go ahead. You were
multiple sides. By the way, as we've been told and talked about, many of our people believe that Donald Trump, the ultimate truth teller on this stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's been president twice through this period, and every time we're promised it, they can't come up with it. So it could be that there's some mass conspiracy hiding it, or maybe, just maybe, it's not there in the way that we believe it is. Maybe, just maybe, it's a little bit less sexy, and that's a weird word to use there, but salacious, I suppose, than...
that would be great.
It would be.
It would be great.
But it's a moon landing.
Yeah.
So again, I think it should be discussed. I'm not saying it's necessarily...
Well, let's, you know what? Let's just get onto the moon landing set, and we can talk about it.
I've seen that being floated around a lot, and especially yesterday on X.
Really?
I spent years doing actual intelligence operations. I'm going to go full on conspiracy here. I've seen how misinformation and disinformation works. I was warning people that once information started coming out listing random names, like, oh my God, let's tie every single name to Epstein. That was a big up, in my opinion. Like, the fact that, like, she was not involved, but just the fact that, like, they're like, oh, look, Rihanna was at a party.
Right.
Yeah.
She's on the list. Well, no, she's not. I mean, she could be eventually. I don't know, but she's not on the list.
Right.
Like,
more like a victim of it.
Just because she was there, or some
And
random person was there.
Just because you're invited there, just because you flew on his plane, does not mean that you were part of that. However, the way he made that kind of into his bread and butter leads me to believe there are many more people involved.
Well, so in my opinion, that's a big distraction. That is to blow it up to make it look like it's this vast right-wing conspiracy and hide the fact of what was really going on. What was really going on, I don't know. But we know that members of the royal family were involved. We know, I'm going to say this again, that the CIA director, at least twice, went to meet with Jeffrey Epstein. He does not do that on some random dude that they've charged for a crime that didn't exist. Why would the CIA director meet with Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But it could be very well that they're looking at something, right? And there could be more. Like, let's say, Prince Andrew would be a pretty big thing for them to go look at. And we know, at least allegedly, he denies this, that he was involved in some of this stuff. And there could be 5 other names, 10 other names. There could be Saudi Arabian kings. Who knows?
Right.
I'm just saying, like, maybe it's not where the biggest version
I think
of it
that would
is.
be great. Here's the only thing that I think we can walk away and say we know to be true.
Yeah, you're a jerk. I know what's coming. You're going to say I was involved in the list. I'm not even going to let you get away with it.
Stu was on the list. All right.
We see what's going on, Stu.